Makenzie is in the green room, so you'll hear her but won't see her right now. Kristen?
Yes.
Check, check.
Hello, hello.
How's it sound, Makenzie? Makenzie, do you hear Kristen? What happened? Oh, Ingrid,
We can't hear her.
I don't hear you, Makenzie. What happened? No, don't hear ya.
Is she on mute?
She is. I'm not sure if you're muted. We just heard you loud and clear. But it is all right. So as usual, technical difficulties. It is noon. It is Friday. It is officially time for Video Chicken. My name is Matt, coming to you live right now from Raleigh, North Carolina. Actually standing in, our chicken expert to my right here, Kristen. How you doing?
Good.
Standing in her living room. Thank you so much for letting me come here this morning. Take advantage of what you have is phenomenal internet. And she didn't know it. I didn't know it. She has a green screen that is huge. So I wanted to take advantage of that today. Just doing something a little bit different. We're going to have a lot of fun today, especially the fact that we don't have to sit still, be down in the bottom corners here, and whatnot. So we were just, Makenzie's in the green room. We were able to hear her loud and clear, and then all of a sudden, she just disappears. So I'm not sure what happened. And it's also come to my attention that it takes a couple minutes for the video to start on our website. So I'm going to bring Makenzie in here in a couple minutes for those top 3 questions of the week. And also, Makenzie, just give me a heads up. Can you hear me? Okay. It sounds like she can hear me. And I wanted to change that. It doesn't have to be the top 3 questions. I was also thinking, too, maybe like the craziest question for the week.
No, I want to know what's going on in the shop. How about shop gossip?
There's some shop gossip right now, but people aren't here so much for the shop gossip. But I can tell you, Dave's getting a mullet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd
I
like
can
to see
tell
that.
you Dave is the one that broke one of our trailers. We were all wondering how a fender just fell off. But anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and get started.
See, that's much more interesting.
How is that interesting? They broke my trailer, and no one wanted to tell us. Also, I wanted to let you guys know, coming up in today's show, this is a very, very special show for me. I hope that it will be entertaining, and you guys are going to learn a lot from it. But I am going to be bringing in a guest today that is by far the smartest man I have ever met. Here's Ingrid coming in. We're going to bring her into the green room. Ingrid, how are you? Both you guys are muted. I'm not sure why you guys are muted, but we'll just leave it that way for right now. Anyways, here I am, 42 years old, and I have not talked to my old science teacher, and I think I did the math yesterday. It was like 25 years. And I can tell you, and I hope everyone out there can say the same thing, that everyone had that one teacher that you'll never forget. Just everyone loved this teacher that I had. Do you have a teacher like that? Similar story?
Dr. Lumpkin.
Dr. Lumpkin. You had a doctor for a teacher. Wow. Okay. So later today, hopefully he'll be coming into the green room. I did send him a link. He is older now, so he's not really up to the technology like us younger folk are, but we did a test run yesterday. He did a really good job. So again, coming up is my science teacher. And the reason why I'm bringing him in is, I tell you, since I graduated, but ever since I definitely started this business, every day at least once, I've always asked myself, what would Mr. Choffin say? It's just that simple.
And I say, what would Dr. Lumpkin wear?
Really? So what we're going to do today is there are things that have come to my attention, especially questions on our YouTube, that I don't have an answer to. And I love when we get those questions. And I go to the experts out there, but you can never, you got to be really careful. You never know if they're going to give you a biased opinion, especially when it comes to their product. So who better to go to and ask a scientist? So that's what we're going to do today. All right, let's go ahead. And everyone out there, give me a thumbs up. Again, we have changed the audio. Make sure you hear us good. Make sure I'm not too loud. And I'm going to, I guess Ingrid says that she can hear us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And we are going to go to the interview screen. And unfortunately, because I am so far away from the the computer, I have to reach in. And, we brought Ingrid up right away. That was easy. So we can hear her, but that's not who we want. So,
well, thank you.
You're welcome. But Ingrid, everyone, how you doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I see what I can do.
I don't have any shop gossip.
There's Makenzie. All right. I swear I am practicing a lot how to work this software. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Happy Friday, Makenzie. How you doing?
Good, except you put a slash mark over my face, and that's why you couldn't see or hear me.
Okay, well, everything's good now.
Everything's great.
Let's go.
So how are things
Perfect.
going this week in the shop?
It's been a whirlwind, as usual. I mean, pedal to the metal trying to get these coops out the door. I'm working on an estimate right now for a potential customer. You know how it goes.
Wait a minute. You're tapping into your sales roots?
I shouldn't have said that.
No, I'm happy to hear that.
I
I had no idea.
every once in a while, I do dip my toes back in the sales waters. If I happen to pick up the phone and a customer says, "Oh, I know everything I want," I tell them that I would be more than happy to get the process started. And
Well, I definitely
I'm on
appreciate
it.
that. I know in the beginning, a lot of people don't know this. We tried to suck Makenzie into sales because she was learning so much and she was really good. You know, customers tell us all the time how great you are on the phone, how knowledgeable you are. But I know that sales wasn't your passion, and I am all about trying to help people to go towards the things that they love to do. And apparently,
I don't dislike it.
Makenzie loves shopping. She loves spending the Carolina Coops money, so she has been the one that has been learning so much about how to buy material in large quantities, bring it in even from overseas, which is a pain in the butt. It does happen. And but anyways, all right. So top 3 questions, craziest questions. What do you got for us this week?
We get this one a lot, and you touch on it a lot. Has to do with chicken math. Is how do I know how many chickens I can have?
I have just a screen, and I want Kristen to answer this. Watch this, folks. Boom. All right, so we're going to bring up a screen with a chicken coop, right? Bird's eye view. And the question is, how do I know how many chickens I should have? Right?
Right.
Okay. Well, we do get that question all the time. I mean, go ahead and bring her in. We have an assistant, a.k.a. Elise, Kristen's daughter, who is the amazing person at catching a chicken. We thought, why not bring a chicken in the show today? We can't really see her.
That is actually a cuckoo Moran. That
Coop-
bantam.
I was gonna say she's a little. Look how friendly she is. Cuckoo Moran, and one of the things I love when you tell people, chicken handling 101, always let the feet hang, just like that, right?
Right.
All right. So how many chickens should I have? And we did actually talk about this. What was it, last week or a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think we've seen that before, and I said, look, you've got room for one more.
So, how many chickens should people have?
And, well, there's the 12-inch roll that first of all, there's how many you can have the room for in the hen house, and then how many do you have room for in the run? So they're 2 separate questions, and you go with the lesser number.
Well, or, something just occurred to me, and there's Mr. Choffin right there. We're going to bring him into the green room. He is right on time, and we're going to keep him muted in the background. So anyways, I think the question is, what comes first, the number of chickens, or what size coop you're going to get for how many chickens you're going to put in there? All right, so I think when people are asking how many chickens should I have, it comes down to how many eggs you want or what budget you have for the right size chicken coop. Mm-hmm. So, in a nutshell, how can we answer that kind of shortly? Let's start with the eggs. How many eggs? I mean, okay, you get some chickens.
And I'm thinking, what comes first, the chicken or the coop? So sometimes you get the coop after you have the chickens, and sometimes you get the coop. You plan everything ahead, but there are a lot of people right now, it's springtime and chicks are in the store, they're impulse purchases, and then they end up, after the fact, planning for the coop.
Which is the big no-no. Please don't do that. I have so many customers that do that. They don't realize how fast the chickens grow. Yeah. The lighting here, how's the lighting looking? I want to get this chicken looking good against the black shirt. It's kind of hard. Anyways, Elise, here, you can, we'll just go ahead and put her down. She'll probably come back later. So, when you first get your chickens, they do start laying eggs. It's not that they lay one egg every day, but if you have 6 chickens, for example, you'll easily have at least 5 eggs a day. Is that fair to say?
Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the breed.
Well, that is true. So that's what you got to figure out is how many eggs do I want? And also, in our business, especially with the chicken coops, is what size coop do I want? What's my budget? Because that is so important. The worst thing to do is get a coop way too small for your number of chickens. So let's go back to Makenzie and go back to here. All right, Makenzie, what else? What other questions do you have? What's number 2?
How do I know when to put my chickens in their coop?
Okay, so most people, what they do, you start a brooder, and in that brooder, you got your baby chicks. I'm assuming that's what this question means, right? And then they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you tell people?
I would, when they're fully feathered, about 5 to 7 weeks.
Exactly. So I always tell people 6 weeks, so I get right in the middle there. But 5 to 7 weeks, and again, what is it they're looking for?
Just when they're fully feathered.
When they're fully feathered, exactly. So
And they do sleep together, even if it's cool outside. They'll sleep together, and their warmth will generate enough amongst them all.
So
really.
why when they're fully feathered? What
Because
makes the difference?
That's when they're fully developed, and the feathers can keep them warm.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you no longer need that heat source.
And you know what? I go back to the mother hen. The mother hen always stops mothering between 5 and 7 weeks as well. So that's nature. That's when they're ready to be on their own, and she does push them out of the nest, so to speak, at that time. So.
I'm assuming everyone hears that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing.
And then that chicken just walked through the living room right out the back door.
Yeah.
So.
What else is new? So, that's an interesting point, and I've never heard you say that, but that makes good sense. You've often talked about when she raises those baby chicks, and that at about that teenage, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, she's like, get away from me.
Right.
Okay, time for you to leave. But that does kind of mimic that when you take them from their brooder out to their hen house.
Right.
I've never thought about that. Now, you did make another point the other day. We were on the phone with a customer, and you were educating her on whether or not to get baby chicks, or if you should just go ahead and try to find adult hens. And there's all kinds of advantages and disadvantages to that. You made another point that I never thought about. I often like to tell people, if at all possible, use this hen house back here. Use that hen house as your brooder. That way there's no transition period. But you didn't like that. And I tell you, you had an interesting point. Do you remember what that point was?
Yeah, because then they're not tame. They don't know you.
So when you have them in the brooder, you have more likely you're going to be
interacting. Yeah. So I like to have them actually in the house or in the garage for at least the first 2 weeks because they're cute, they're little, they're not much of a nuisance. And then after that, you can transition them to an outdoor space. But what are you laughing at?
They grow up fast. They grow up fast, and that's why.
Are you laughing about them being in the living room? I mean, we just had a grown chicken just walk by. So yeah, but that's it. But if you put them outdoors, depending on where your chicken coop is, and this woman had kind of a remote chicken coop. I mean, she had a lot of property, and it was kind of a walk to get to. You're not going to have all that interaction, and you lose the benefit of raising baby chicks. You raise chicks, so you bond, and they become much more tame and interactive. But if it's a once a day feeding or less.
So even once a day is not enough. Because here's the point she made. She goes, oh, that's a great excuse for me and my husband to get outside, go down to the chicken coop and spend some time with the baby chicks. So, again, the beauty of chickens, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. But I just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was a great point. All right, Makenzie, number 3.
This one is to deal with our watering systems.
Oh, going to be a big subject today.
How do I teach my chickens to use their water bar?
This is another chicken question. I would love to hear what our chicken expert
Well, we
has to
both
say.
know the answer is because chickens are curious creatures, and they will peck at it. It's red. They're going to be curious. They're going to peck at it, and then they're going to get water, and then they're going to say, oh, water. So, and then once one does it, the other ones will follow.
and it's honestly just that simple. Now, a mistake I see people make is, remember, chickens are creatures of habit. And if whether you got young hens or older hens, and you want to switch to like one of our water bars, you got to remove that original water source that they're used to using, or they're just going to keep going back to that. They will not go to the water bar. But yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't take more than an hour usually.
We've got
An hour,
videos
2
where
hours.
chickens went up to it within 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's usually pretty quick.
How do you feel about people using the laser pointers to try to train their chickens to use the watering systems?
I've
That's
never
unnecessary.
heard
Yeah, I've
of
never heard
that,
of that.
but I don't know that they'd really be attracted to light.
Oh, you kidding me?
Are
That's
they?
the trick. That's
Okay.
the trick for America's Got Talent or whatever it was.
Oh,
That the chicken learned how to play a song on a piano. No, the keys lit up. So she trained the chicken to peck the key that lit up. But when you got the camera at the right angle, you didn't know that. So you're like, that's the smartest chicken in the world. How in the world did the chicken learn Beethoven or Mozart?
right. Well, I've got laser pointers for the cats, so maybe I should
Of
take
course
those
you do.
outside. But wait a minute, they're not going to see that in the daylight, and they're asleep at night. So how are they going to see it?
You'll see a laser pointer. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Um,
I got something to do today.
Awesome. Well, great job, Makenzie. I know it's been months since we've been home and seen you guys, but appreciate everything you guys are doing up there. I know it's been crazy, especially coming into our busy season. Appreciate your time. I'm glad everything's going well, and you have a great weekend.
All right, you guys too. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, that's Makenzie. And I wanted to mention something that I forgot to say. I forgot my shirt for work today. I actually picked out, and I normally try to wear. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, make you feel better.
Sun's out, guns out. I normally have my collared shirt, and I purposely don't wear it until I come on camera because, of course, I'm going to spill something on it. This morning would have been my breakfast burrito or coffee. And I get here and I forgot it, so don't hold it against me. But it is a chance to check out the new Carolina Coops shirt. I'm sure it's going to look a little funky with the green screen because there is some green in it. But
How's it look?
yeah, it looks brown. That's funny because it's blending in with the background. Anyways, all right. So let's just check. I'm going to check in with Ingrid. Ingrid, you're in the green screen, Matt. You can see the end of the green screen. Which way? Oh, so yeah, because I was bumping the. Yeah, thank you. I was bumping it around because I noticed it was kind of driving me nuts that we got things falling in here. Your typical stuff. Anyway, so Ingrid, make sure that's good. Make sure everything's sounding good. And do we have any questions real quick, or we want to go ahead? I don't want to leave Mr. Choffin waiting. I am so excited about this. Again, if you're just joining us, our guest speaker today, and I don't want to get emotional because now I can already feel it. This is the best teacher in the world. And just love this guy. And I swear to God, ever since I graduated, every single day, at least once, I would always ask myself, what did Mr. Choffin say? And I did get a chance to speak to him yesterday a little bit, just testing everything. And it was amazing to hear a couple things I've never heard him say about how much he loved teaching. I mean, I imagine if you dedicate your life like he has and all these other great teachers, they love their job. But when you're a young kid, you just think of them as the enemy. Or am I just that one kid? But Mr. Choffin was the teacher that you just adored. You couldn't wait to go to his class. You couldn't wait to hear everything he had to say. And one of the best parts about him, we would purposely talk about before we went into class. We were supposed to learn probably about the clouds or whatever. We're like, we're going to talk to Mr. Choffin and ask him what he thinks about blah, blah, blah. And he would spend the entire class talking about it, but you would still learn something. We're going to go ahead and bring Mr. Choffin in and make sure I do it right. No, didn't mean to bring Ingrid. Hi, Ingrid. Are you ready for this? I'm going to go into the interview screen and see if we can bring Mr. Choffin in. Mr. Choffin, are you there, sir?
I'm here, but I'm not there.
Well, no worries. I did tell you, actually, so I'll go ahead and go back to the regulars.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To get in her Carolina Coop.
That's good. I like that. We'll go
Cannot
ahead.
be any cornier than that.
Oh no, I thought that was pretty good. Mr. Choffin, thank you so much for being here today. I can't thank you enough. And I know I speak for, I hope a lot of people that are listening right now that you can think back how important these people were. And as you get older, you don't realize how much they affected you. And you, by far, I've learned so much from you, and that was your job. You were great at it. And I did ask, and I know we got a lot of people from Mid Lakes where we went to school. They were so excited, so they are listening. And I can definitely speak for them that they all say hi, and you were by far, when you asked who is your favorite teacher, it was Mr. Choffin. So again, sir, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, that's Mr. Choppin. All right, so let's dive right into it then. So there's three things. There's three things off the top of my head I can tell you right away. Questions that have come to me that have bugged me. And I've always seen these questions as an opportunity to learn and better our product. But I am the first to admit I'm not an expert on certain things. And one of the things I love about our business, what we've done is we've solved problems. And created solutions to make everyone's life easier. But every now and again, there's that squeaky wheel. There's that one person that's like the naysayer or whatever. But you still got to learn from them. And one that has always bothered me is when people say you should not give your chickens rainwater. And I tell you, I used to grow coral. And I learned when I grew coral, I had no idea what's in our city water. And you just trust the water's going to be good. And one of the comments again is you shouldn't give your chickens rainwater. So Mr. Choffin, I would love to ask you your opinion on in a situation like this. We have a chicken coop, metal roof. We're collecting rainwater off that metal roof, and it just goes right into a food-safe rain barrel. What are the things, especially different parts of the world, I imagine air pollution might become a factor, things like that. Would you say it's safe to let your, in this case, chickens drink rainwater?
Well, it depends where you are, because 70% of rainwater in our part of the country comes from the Gulf of Mexico. But in California, it's coming off the Pacific Ocean. So the mechanism for making the raindrops is different, for example, in Florida. You ever been to Florida in a rainstorm? It's not cold. You walk around with just a light jacket on, and you get wet, and you don't get chilled. The rain there is condensed onto salt grains from the ocean water. So in some respects, your rainwater in Florida is going to be a little salty. I imagine in California it would be too. Where dust particles are called condensation nuclei, form raindrops in the rest of the country. So I would say check the pH of your rainwater and see how acidic it is or alkaline. It shouldn't be alkaline, but it might be acidic and it might not be. I know we talked about the brass coupling, and acidic rainwater would oxidize the copper in the brass, but that's really painting a seal on it. So the blue-green color, people wipe it off. You should leave it on. It's a painting. You disappeared.
I'm right here. This is bringing back so many memories. I'm hanging on every word, and you got me thinking. So what I wanted to do is for our viewers and you, I'm gonna go right to, we started talking about the brass fittings, is the poultry water systems that we sell. And if for our viewers and listeners, if you've never seen it, you can always go right to carolinacoops.com and let's see. So just wanted to bring that up. And I almost kind of feel like the weatherman. Wait, I'm too small. I can't see myself now. But, okay. So I never thought about this. Even rainwater is just not rainwater. It's going to depend on where you live. That can change the, would it be fair to say the acidic
pH.
level, the pH?
Yeah.
And
the pH, the more acidic it is.
So a good thing to do would be to test your rainwater, which that makes good sense. But now let's say, well, explain to us what we should look for. Like, where would it potentially be good for the chickens or potentially be bad for the chickens? Like, what should we look for as far as the pH levels?
Well, rainwater would be better than, for example, well water or pond water or, water out of the ditch or whatever, because rainwater has technically been distilled. I mean, it evaporated and then it condensed on a small particle in the atmosphere and then fell on you. So it's not going to have as many minerals in it as well water would. Well water. That's why in the old days the girls would wash their hair with rainwater, because the well water the term is hard. The water was so hard pulled out of the well that it would coat their hair and make their hair brittle and stiff, and you get split ends and stuff. So rainwater is better. I would prefer rainwater over municipal water. I mean, you get water out of the tap and it's loaded with chlorine, and some have fluoride in it. I'd rather give rainwater than that water. In fact, we don't drink at home. We don't drink tap water. We run it through one of those zero filters, zero water filters. It's a cation exchange resin, and we had a dog who developed bladder granules, and that's why we had to go to distilled water and eventually the zero water in her bladder because she wasn't able to process it. So we get lake water that's been purified with chlorine, which is really bleach, and it's hard. I mean, you make a water balloon, you can give somebody a concussion with it. It's just...
I'll never forget. That brings up memories. Not that this is chicken related. I'll never forget Mr. Choffin. He's the teacher that say, if you're in an airplane, let's just say you're going down, and you're going to jump out, you don't jump out in water. He would always say that's the hardest surface on the planet, if I remember correctly. He goes, you're better off, if you're going to think you're going to survive, is jumping into land. So I'll never forget that. Water is extremely hard. And God knows I did that once with my car and learned that the hard way. All right, so now when it comes to the health and safety, something I always think about, and going back to my growing coral, is that parts per. Parts per million, parts per billion, parts per trillion. I've put myself in a position where I'm trying to make everyone happy. And I kind of enjoy trying to do that. And I will say a lot of this conversation is to try to address those comments about rainwater. And I get it. We're still not the cleanest people on this planet. And you got the atmosphere up there and raindrops are going through. And I remember you teaching this, even with snow. You had us write down, tell me 3 filters. And I'll never forget one of them. You said snow. Snow's a filter. And you're right. Those snowflakes are going through the atmosphere, and whatever's in there, it could potentially be catching. Is it really, especially here in the States, do you think it's ever so bad that it could cause health issues to your chickens, which of course we want to keep them healthy? But the thing I really focus on especially is the safety for us as we consume the eggs in this case.
Well, the chicken has a filtration system of its own, with its kidneys and digestive system. I mean, chickens eat bugs, and it doesn't seem to bother the eggs. But, trace elements or heavy metals that might be an alarm for some people. But, for example, some people are concerned about the lead in brass. Well, you're talking parts per million. Lead is a cumulative poison, as is mercury. But I don't think a chicken lifespan is long enough to be a problem.
To the health of the chicken, and or is it possible? And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my number 2 thing. That I'm actually quite surprised by this. I'm going to go back to the website so that I can show people what we're talking about. And let's see, can I click on, let's see if I can zoom in on it. These brass fittings right here. And I purposely make sure when we're buying things, in this case, these brass fittings, right on the package, it says lead free. And I have learned, don't trust everything you say, but you want to hopefully put some faith in the government. In this case, the EPA regulates it. And then I had a customer bring it to my attention. He said, lead free doesn't mean lead free. So I had to look it up. The EPA actually has its own definition of what lead free is, and I should have read it. I wish I could read it right now. But it was interesting. It was like 0.025 per pound on the wetted surface. So to me, I was like, well, there is lead in there. But then it comes into what you're saying right now is, what is, in your opinion, without a bias towards a product or whatever, an organization maybe that they're paying you to say something, what would be considered safe? As far as the when the EPA says it's lead free but there is a small amount potentially.
But again, lead is a cumulative poison, which means once you consumed it, it's going to hang around. Mercury, for example, people are terrified of mercury. It's not lead, but it's close. It looks like lead. And we have, people have had their fillings taken out because they have mercury in them. And the old silver fillings or amalgams. And, is lead toxic? Well, in a single shot, probably not. But you could drink mercury and it won't kill you. It'll just go right through you. It's a very heavy liquid metal. But mercury vapor will get into your blood. That's what the Mad Hatter was. The Hatters would polish the sealskin with mercury to make him shine, and it's the vapor that is the problem. So it's, unless you're making lead vapor, I don't worry about it.
So, I'll disclose something right now to everyone, is because of this, one of my goals have been, especially with the water system, is another thing, in this case, California takes it a step further. My understanding is anything that's an alloy, you have that P65 warning, potential cancers and birth defects. And that's a pretty scary statement. But I'll never forget that one day out in California, going to Starbucks, getting a cup of coffee, and on their cup and then on their counter is a label with that P65. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. We are looking into having manufactured for us, instead of the brass fitting, which again says it's lead free, says it's safe for water consumption by us, is going to stainless steel. Because my understanding is stainless steel should be safer. But I was actually talking to our engineer, and he said, not exactly. And I meant to look up the word he used. Would you know off the top of your head by chance what that, I guess there's some type of metal they add to stainless steel to make it food safe?
To make stainless, they add chromium to the alloy.
That was it, chromium. And he said chromium can potentially, or is more toxic than lead. Would you agree?
Yes, but chromium will paint the stainless steel with a waterproofing covering, and that's what makes it stainless. I use a comparison of aluminum. Aluminum is a very reactive metal, but aluminum oxide is a silver color. So when you use aluminum, other people who, for example, I won't use aluminum cookware. I'll use cast iron, because the aluminum will pit with acidic, like if you're cooking tomatoes or apples, or the acidic will eat away at the aluminum, and now you're ingesting it. Chromium covers the stainless steel, chromium oxide. You don't see it. Take a sheet of paper and rub it against aluminum foil. When you look at the paper, you'll see a blackish, silverish coating. Mm-hmm. You've rubbed off the foil. That's the aluminum oxide. So aluminum paints itself too. brass does it, but the brass will make a bluish green color with the copper oxide. So
So let me ask you then. Put yourself in my shoes. Here I got to make some decisions, and yeah, stainless steel costs more money, but I always say you can't put a price on your health. And of course, I got to be better than everybody else out there, and I take it very serious, especially as a parent. I mean, God only knows we're gonna find out in 20 years that we're using to kill ourselves slowly. Would you say stainless steel is the way to go versus brass, even though again, it's just a little bit more expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, plus, here's the other big one for me. Everyone's got to be happy somehow. I don't want anyone to come to me and go, well, Matt, that's 304 stainless steel. Boy, you weren't thinking that one through. What would you do?
I'd give them a choice and put the blame on them. I wouldn't give them plastic. I'm not a plastic fan because plastic is amorphous, which means it's a liquid changing to a solid very slowly. And you don't know, they're finding microplastics all over the place now. We've used too much of it. Mm-hmm. So I would say you're stuck with the brass or the stainless. I don't see anything wrong. I mean, we have copper pipes in my house bringing the water supply in. You have that blue-green color that comes out, but that's the copper painting. When that color is there, nothing's leaching out; it's sealing it. Know what I'm saying? Chromium.
Right. So let me ask you. So that's very interesting, and I guess to your very first answer, and that I'll be honest with you is one of my default answers. And I can tell you, my team that's listening to me, they're all shaking their head because they are forcing me, and they're right. Stop giving people choices. When we give people choices, you open up opportunity that we're human. We may make mistakes. But it's my job to say, no, we are going to offer choices, and here's why. And I love choices. I'm all about choices. Let's just educate the consumer and let them choose. So that's, where my crossroads are.
I would go with the brass. And one, it's more machinable. It's easier. It's soft. I say go with the brass, but there are probably 20 different kinds of brass. And just get the brass that would meet your needs, and I would go with that.
Really?
I mean,
wow.
Going to machine stainless. Stainless is a lot harder metal, mm-hmm. and harder to machine, and probably exponentially more expensive. And you still have the chromium on the outside.
I wasn't expecting
that. Does that throw you a loop?
My world just got rocked. I mean, I literally almost made the deal last night.
Is it more expensive, stainless steel?
It definitely is. It definitely is. Like he's saying, and I've learned this from welding, cutting stainless steel is so much harder. Where you got to go slower because once you heat it up, you don't necessarily ruin the stainless steel. You ruin your cutting device because when metal heats up, it actually softens. You lose your edge in that case.
I'm thinking about all those thermoses that we drink out of. I always thought the stainless steel double vacuum thermoses were the safest to drink out of. I mean, they make those instead of brass ones, right?
Right.
But I guess brass tarnishes.
Right. So, and Mr. Choffin mentioned a couple things that's really got me a couple more questions so that we can understand what we're looking at. Right. So, we all know copper. One of the reasons why we love copper roofing, copper weather vanes, is when it tarnishes, or patina as we call it. And Mr. Choffin, real quick, you mentioned when it turns green, you use a different term and you explained a little bit of the effect. Could you just hit on that one more time? If we have a brass fitting and it's changing to green, it's the copper on the brass fitting, but we shouldn't be concerned with that, or we should be.
No, because that color is the copper oxide or copper chloride or copper nitrate giving you a barrier to the atmosphere. So you're going to cease. Now, some people will wipe that off, but the thing is, if you wipe it off, you're going to get more oxidation. And stainless steel will pit and will break down with caustic fluids flowing through. It will take time because it is so hard, but they're not, totally bulletproof. They're not like styrofoam. Styrofoam lasts forever.
He used to say that all the time. All right, well, my world is rocked there, and I tell you, this is going to lead us into something you mentioned a little bit, and I'm going to go back to we're already at 12:40. See what I mean? We would be sitting in class with him, and that bell would ring. We're like, you got to be kidding me. It's just, I love it. I love it, Mr. Choffin. I can't thank you enough for your time.
I'll tell you again, I miss it. That was the most fun I ever had.
How long did you teach?
32 years.
Wow.
He was the best. He was different. He was different, and to me, it made sense in so many ways. I wish we could get into it now, because I bet you there's so many people that even we have so many customers that are teachers, and I know I've talked to them like, I had one of the best teachers, and he was very different in how he taught, and it just made sense. I know we definitely can't get into that now, nor should we, being the Chicken Coop show. However, right here, Mr. Choffin, is let's see if I can zoom it in. Actually, if I go to our website, make sure I don't lose us. Well, you can see it now. It's just bigger on our end. Here's our water bar, all right? And that white material is PVC. And I make sure when we purchase this PVC, it says on the side, NSF PW. And my understanding is that's, again, the government saying this is safe for potable water or drinking water. Versus a lot of people I see make the mistake. They go to the cheaper high density. Am I too loud?
No. I'm just going to step away. I just have to stretch a little.
Oh, I know as you're getting, yeah.
Yeah,
We normally sit in a chair, and we got this big giant green screen. I kind of feel like a meteorologist. What's going on? And I'm glad I at least didn't wear my green shirt. I would be really embarrassed right now. Anyways, I want to make sure that the PVC is, again, food safe. I've seen people make the mistake. They go get what's NSF, drain waste vent, DWV. And either way, what the comments have come to me is two things. One, we should not be purchasing PVC because we're contributing to pollution because it's so toxic to make PVC, but maybe once we have the final product, it is safe. But I've also had people say, once that PVC is out and say it starts to warm up, it's in the sun, or even in general, I mean, we've heard about this BPA or something like that, that is potentially leaching toxins into the water. Now, again, I want to remind everyone, this is the water system for our chickens. It's not something I want you to go up and drink from, but we're here because we love our chickens. And anything that goes into your chickens, a lot of times we refer to goes into you, even though, chickens are filters. But I just really would love to take an opportunity right now if you can maybe, if at all, touch on your knowledge of PVC. Again, is it really that bad to produce? Or more importantly, we're using this PVC, does it really leach toxins into the water?
Well, the old rule of thumb is let the water run a little bit first. And if there is any picking up of something from the pipes, that goes down the drain. You understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely do. So now with that said, and I know I have not had the opportunity to explain to you how our system works. This is actually our heated water system. And actually this is not a picture of the heated water system because we're missing the heater. But to that point with moving water, because I also want to know if this is, I have to move the water in this case. This black device right here is our pump. And it pumps the water from the rain barrel through the water bar and it returns. And the reason why we do that is because there's a 1,000-watt self-regulating heater down inside that rain barrel that keeps 50 gallons of water thawed all the way down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So when that thermostatic switch goes on to the pump, it starts flowing the water. So definitely, I remember my father telling me that, he was a plumber by trade, you kind of flush it out. We always see the fire hydrants getting flushed out. But in this case, we're actually flowing water, putting it right back into the rain barrel. So I hope that isn't causing any more problems I'm not aware of.
Well, just remember, the solution to pollution is dilution. So,
So, here we have, in most cases, a 48-inch, 1.5-inch NSF PW, and I don't know what the difference is. That's another thing I guess we should learn. Why is
water actually resides in the pipe before it actually moves. I mean, it's not that big a volume. Once it's mixed up in your water bar, it should be diluted with the other water.
I missed the first word. What is it that's in there?
Well, in the PVC pipe, if you are picking up anything in that volume of the tube, the volume of the inside of the tube, once you go into the big tank, it gets diluted.
So it goes back to the parts per million, or the parts per
Right.
liter.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for those people out there, our YouTube Chicken Police, which is going to be coming up here in a little bit, and Mr. Choffin, if you get a chance to hang out and listen to that, I think you'll get a kick out of it. So where we continue on, I just really want to talk to the people that are the negative people out there, the naysayers. But again, we learn from them. So with PVC, so we're talking 50 gallons, and it's running through the PVC. Should we be concerned? Or is it just not enough? It's safe because if there is anything, it's just the concentration's not there.
I'm eating a French fry, so
That's perfect.
the only concern is the water that has remained in the tube for a long period of time. And if that gets mixed with other water, it gets diluted. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, that water is coming from the rain barrel, right?
Right. So I'm wondering if, and it's almost like, and this is why I wish I was back in school. I would go like, Mr. Choffin, we got to set this up in your classroom, just like we used to do the wind chill, how to measure the wind chill and whatnot, putting the thermometers out there with the wet cotton or whatever. I almost think what we really need to do is test the actual water, and I don't even know who to use to test the water, what we should test for. But this is interesting because I want to, again, for our viewers too, to also understand the picture that you're looking at right now that we brought up on the website is technically not our heated water system, but this is what we call our regular water system, where what you're missing is the heater and the thermostatic switch for the pump. But we used to just say, okay, if you're not going to heat it, you don't need to circulate it, just let gravity do its thing. But I think Non made the executive decision 2-3 years ago that customers want to circulate it. One, because stagnation, but it just kind of.
What triggers the water pump?
This, you would just go manually plug it in.
Oh, okay.
So if you're like, okay, that water has been sitting in that pipe too long, so the solution for pollution is dilution. Okay, we should almost make a sticker of that, put it on the back of the plug. You plug it in, so you re-dilute it. So now I'm wondering if again, 50 gallons of water, rainwater, coming off of a metal roof, and I emphasize metal because I've always been told that's the safest way to collect rainwater versus asphalt shingles and things like that. Would you say, well, you know what, to play it safe, you should maybe change out that 50 gallons completion, or to completion, every 30 days, 90 days? Matt, you're crazy, don't worry about it.
Oh, I'd flush it out and put in new water every time it rained.
Well, and technically it's coming off of a gutter, so in a way it is doing that.
Okay.
So if you're out in Arizona, right, I just picture Arizona as a state that doesn't get rain very often, and when it does, it seems like it's a flood. Would there be a number that you would suggest, yeah, you should every 90 days, every 30 days, put fresh water in there? Now, knowing too, if they're going to do that, they're using their either well water or most likely their city water that has your phosphates, your chlorine.
Yeah.
Who knows what else is in there? Fluoride.
I would think the rainwater, even if it's sitting in there, would be better. But
Rainwater will have a lot less minerals in it than well water or city water taken from a well. And then all they do with the water processing plant is, chlorinate it and then aerate it. It doesn't do anything to the minerals. I mean, it's not being distilled. Rainwater technically is distilled because it was evaporated. So any minerals that were in it get left behind. Just the liquid the liquid forms from the vapor from the evaporation. In Florida, for example, the raindrops form on the little, when you go to the beach, you see the haze in the air.
Hmm.
Well, that haze is salt. The splash of the waves puts the water droplets up in the air. The water evaporates, and the salt grain stays in the air. And that forms a condensation nuclei for raindrops. In fact, to my knowledge, they've never been able to reproduce this in a lab. Condensation nuclei, that's easy. I mean, the burning in California of all the plant matter, that made a lot of condensation nuclei in the atmosphere. Something the condensation nuclei is what the water drops are attracted to. Salt is very hygroscopic. In fact, that's why you had to put rice in the salt shaker in years past, because the salt will actually pull water out of the air to try to dissolve itself. So what was it? Morton invented the. Well, here's a case. Salt is coated with aluminum oxide so the grains won't stick together. And when you put salt on your French fries, you're also ingesting aluminum.
Wow.
And
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Mr. Chop.
I'm not fond of aluminum, so.
Right. I definitely I heard that, and that is very fascinating. And you're right. I've always wondered why that rice is in there. Well, listen, I can't believe it's already we're 51 minutes into the show. We got to get to a couple other segments, but I thank you so much.
Listen, Matt, I'm used to rejection. My whole life I've been rejected. When I was a kid, my parents used to take me places and leave me there to see if I could find my way home. And unfortunately, I did. And they kept taking me farther and farther away.
Like a pigeon.
Yeah, training a pigeon. I can't thank you so much. Time is precious, and I hope that this was as much fun for you as it was for us. You got a chance to really eventually, people watch our videos all around the world, and I would love it if maybe we can do this again in the future. I can't wait to hear what our listeners and viewers said about this, and because there's so much more. I would just have to say those are the top three, but there's so much.
Well, tell them not to say anything bad, because I'm very sensitive. I don't take criticism well.
I don't believe that if you were a teacher for 32 years.
Yeah, that's a brutal.
The past 32 years of my life, I really enjoyed it, and I cannot stand it when people say they can't stand kids. I mean, kids are great. Once they glom onto what you're doing, they're very rewarding to work with.
Yeah, and I can tell. And one of the things I have learned is we get to pass this along. And that's one of the best things about teaching. And what I love about my position now, I never knew when I started building chicken coops and then it was going to turn into the business that it's turning into. I love watching the employees that work for us. I teach them, I share with them what I've learned, and then they take it to the next level. I know what you mean. It is so rewarding, and so many things, whether it's just how we think about things or if it's an actual working with something, it's there's always something there, and we pass it along, and it never dies.
Do you remember I used to tell students, if you're a good student, I'll learn something from you this week. So,
Wow.
It's nice to be able to look at another set of eyes and ears.
Could Couldn't agree more. All right, Mr. Choffin, thank you again. I'll be in touch. We'll see what our listeners and viewers have to say. I love that we got it from a scientific point of view, a non-biased point of view, and there are so many more things that we could definitely talk about, especially when we get into the world of composting and microbes, all those things that I'm thriving to become the expert on, or at least listen to the experts so we can share this with our customers. So again, Mr. Choffin, thank you so much.
Well, nice talking to you. Good luck with your coops.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that was Mr. Choffin. I hope you enjoyed that. I know that was there's a lot of personal there for me, and I just, again, boy, do I miss that man. I wish I knew back then. I mean, I knew he was awesome, but how much that means to you. And it's something that we kind of need in life, especially with everything that's going on. We're getting older. They're getting older.
Yeah.
Gosh, and you just don't realize the sacrifice until we're older what they went through, especially being scrutinized by the parents. You know, that you got some of these bad parents that just don't understand how tough of a job these teachers have. And they don't make a lot of money. They do it because they love it. And I never really realized that as a kid, and I wasn't the best kid. I guess that's the other thing I'm not saying.
I was going to ask him if Matt has exceeded his expectations.
I would probably, you know what he would say? He would say, this is what he would expect. Because he was one of two teachers I had that would pull me to the side and say, you are something special. We're not just saying this, but don't waste it, because I was going down a path of wasting it. And Mr. Choffin was one of them, and I can't thank him enough. All right, guys, so it is already 12:55. I know it's hurting you standing here, all that stuff, but
I did a little stretch.
I saw that crack.
And actually, I wanted to say one thing about all that whole segment.
Yeah.
Was if the EPA says that it's safe for humans consumption, I would say that it's safe for chicken consumption. I think you might be overthinking it a little bit. That's just my opinion.
And I appreciate that, because I do overthink things. And I feel like it's my job to overthink things. But this comes to my attention from our listeners, our viewers, our customers. And I take it very, very seriously. And, I tell you, I learned a lot. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And I love choices. I'm all about choices. But, man, when it comes to a business, that can cause a lot of problems. Ingrid is back in the green room. I am dying to get into YouTube Chicken Police. There she is. I hear her coughing. Let me let's just because I gotta hear it. It gets me excited. Here we go. If you're in your car, I apologize. You are not being pulled over. It is just time for Chicken Police. YouTube Chicken Police, my favorite time. And let's go into this screen right here. No, that's not the one I want. Let's see here. Hold on. I purposely have. Where did it go? Oh, don't tell me I lost it. Oh, I might have. I don't know. Let's just go to... I had a screen. Well, let's just go back to this one. Hi, Ingrid. Happy Friday. Again, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm well. What did you think of Mr. Choffin?
I love Mr. Choffin.
Good.
I love him. He was great. And the best thing was he was pretty much saying, you're overthinking it, like Kristen said. Everything you have set up is perfectly fine. For the breast fittings are fine. Like the food safe PVC is fine. The way, except for most people, their roofs are fine because you'll get rainwater. I won't, but other people will. As you well know, I don't collect as much rainwater off my chicken coop. But I mean, everything was exactly, you set up a good system. And I'd be also interested in all these people that think, this isn't good for their chickens. It's like, well, what are you eating?
Yeah.
We're so worried about these chickens getting something. And are they drinking out of something that's not BPA free? Are they cooking on aluminum foil? I mean, all the things that they're doing, they're ingesting this possibly.
Yeah. I mean,
ingesting things that are worse.
That's a good point, Ingrid. Did they replumb their entire house? And if they did, what'd they use?
I had a customer that did that.
With what? What'd they use?
PEX.
Well, I use PEX too, but that's still plastic.
It is. I tell you, it's all, and I appreciate it. I take it as a compliment that I'm overthinking it, because I honestly, it's my job. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for making sure we're providing a safe product for our customers, a safe working environment for all of us. And I do appreciate the naysayers, which is, again, why we do Chicken Police. You got to learn even from those negative people. You got to listen to them. They're going to make you better.
And I also want to add that if this is okay for human consumption, we also have the benefit of this going through a chicken's body. I mean, that is filtering it as well. So, I mean, it's, yeah.
Absolutely. So
I'm 100% confident.
Yeah, I love that. And that definitely helped me relax a little bit, because I was freaking out. Because I'm like, the last thing I want is to know that my product that we've invented to make people's lives better could be potentially making them sick. And I think we probably will end up offering choices. I just feel like this is such a touchy, sensitive subject.
That's going to create more phone calls.
Oh, gosh, you have no idea. So, everyone out there watching, again, thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments to that, please leave them down below. I definitely love to hear, especially the other side of the, I don't want to say the argument, but just to open up that discussion so we can learn from you. All right, it is time. YouTube Chicken Police. Ingrid, thank you for joining us for it. I am ready to finish up. It's already an hour, so we'll try to get through it really fast. And I haven't even had a chance to look at the comments. All the viewers out there, thank you so much for sticking with us and hanging out with us this Friday afternoon.
Okay, we got from Kelly, who said on your live show in Wilmington, she said, "This is March. You're backlogged until October."
Was there an exclamation point on that? Did I hear?
It said you need, you need to expand and add more people. And yes, it was a.
Well, that's a bait right
I
there.
don't know what that voice is.
That's a bait?
Yeah.
Was that comment bait? Well, I'm not allowed to say anything.
Well,
now.
Well, you're working on it.
No, you can.
Yeah, you're working on it.
And it says you need a larger space and to streamline the process, which, yes. People don't realize that we don't just, I think you need to explain, like, how you hire your crew, too. You don't just have,
no, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to get into my secrets.
Well, I just want to, it's just not anybody that works for you. People are skilled at what they do in the shop, and you can't just bring, Joe Schmo off the street to help build a coop.
You can't, because it still costs you more money.
And you have streamlined it. Right, and you have streamlined the process. We're just growing faster than our staff can grow. I think. Maybe I answered the question. I don't know.
You did. Sometimes I wonder if this is more for Ingrid. That poor lady, she's always the one hammering away. And, I can't imagine how many you don't tell me about because of, this is going to set Matt over the edge. Great problem that we have.
Yeah.
God knows we have grown. I am so thankful that we've grown. I'm proud that we've grown because I know there are things that we have done that have allowed our success. From listening to the customers, again, the naysayers, to the mentors that we've been so fortunate to have, and of course the customers out there that have supported us. We're working on it, as Kristen said. I'm just not allowed to say it yet. I can't wait to show everyone. My goal very soon is that you will not have to wait. When it comes to a production coop, custom coops, whole different story. We're very busy. But I think that's a great sign. That's a good thing. And I'm going to continue to do this probably the day I die. I'm reinvesting everything back into it to shorten that lead time. I want everyone to have chickens, or at least have the ability to be able to afford any of our coops, but not sacrifice on what's going to keep your chickens happy. So we're working on it.
Right.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I did. All right.
The backlog should clear pretty soon.
And you know what? I also should mention that if you're thinking about,
change. Yeah.
It's hopefully going to shrink very soon. But there's a lot going on. I didn't know I was going to have to get blood. I mean, really?
What?
I had to get blood. I mean, the things that had to happen in order to make these coops get out the door quicker. Anyways.
I didn't.
All right, on the Michigan coop.
Okay. Hold on. I got a scene for that. We need to start a t-shirt that says, I got a video for that.
Okay, on the Michigan coop. That was good. Very good. So I guess you had said you were talking about the size of the hen house and the cube. You talk about the cubic area in the hen house. So Darren Brown commented, "You don't want your chickens' heads hitting the roof. Bloody hell, are they ostriches?" So maybe you could talk to why. He's
saying that you have so much headroom, it would almost accommodate an ostrich.
Well, I think what it is I think what he's saying is that Matt has said you don't want the roof right above the chickens' heads where they
Yeah.
can hit their heads. But most people's coops don't have a lot of headroom. Is that correct?
I don't think that's what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, my God, what, are you compensating for something else?
Yeah.
Because there's so much headroom
Right.
that. All right, so I was just going to bring it up right here. Not that we're going to listen to it. I'm going to make sure that, and I don't know if this is going to be too much bandwidth. I was hoping just to bring that video up so people can see what I'm talking about, but it's not. Oh, and of course, that clicked on the wrong one. We're going to stop that. No, we're going to pause that. Pause that. All right, real quick. All right, well, let's just go back to it. Yeah, so that's just a comment saying that it's bigger than it probably needs to be. But, that gets into one of my favorite things I love to discuss, and that is the fact that the domino effect on designing chicken coops, making sure everything is perfect, that actually happens almost by default because we need a structure tall enough for us to walk into. And when you try to make that perfect marriage between human and chickens, that hen house ends up taller. And it's not a bad thing. So if there's one thing other than the deep litter system I know people say they love about our coops, especially when they're coming from the Chinese coffin coops, when they walk... Can I say that? Was that wrong?
Yeah, you said it.
Oh, boy. My kids are Chinese. I mean, come on. So they love that they can walk in and have all kinds of headroom. So it's just... It is what it is. I would never make a coop shorter.
They're a quarter Chinese.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
All right, I don't need people getting mad at me right now. This is all for them to keep them happy. And Ingrid's losing her headset. Sorry about that, folks.
No, I had to sneeze, and I didn't want to sneeze in your ear, in everyone's ear.
Gotcha. I appreciate that.
It's pollen season here in North Carolina.
It is, and it's not affecting me yet.
Someone wrote on the Virginia chicken duck coop. Part of the fun, he basically said this takes all the fun out of it. Part of the fun of building your own coop with leftover materials around the property and being as cost effective as possible, making a fun activity that teaches self-sustainability to your children. And he said, my guess is those kids will have a tough time appreciating fresh eggs or ever driving in a nail.
So,
I guess, yes, it's great to build your own coop. It's great to teach your children that, but not everybody can do that.
Yeah, that's how you started.
One, that's how I started out of a dumpster. Two, that's what this is for. We're helping those people. And absolutely, I love it. I got more satisfaction out of building coops for customers and starting with myself with materials out of a dumpster. So I'm not against what he said, but it definitely feels like...
And we did that chicken coop where our task was to only harvest wood from the property.
Over at Duke Forest. Yeah. We were only allowed to use cedar logs that were dead but still had to be standing.
We couldn't even kill a tree for that one.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I see what he's saying. He's like, let's judge. Let's judge
you can use your principles and still build that way.
There's nothing worse than when people judge, especially other parents that have kids. When the person that's judging doesn't have the kids, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You go build a coop.
And some people just don't have the time.
Yeah.
99% of our customers will say that. They're like, we just don't have the time.
Even builders. We've done chicken coops for builders.
We absolutely
say, I can do this myself, but I just don't have the time. I've got houses to build.
That is a great point. I can't tell you how many people have benefited and learned from us building chicken coops. Mm-hmm. So I guess this is a little kick in the old sensitive area there, but it didn't work.
I was just going to say, and also, even if you're a builder, you have already thought of all the things that you need to have when you have chickens that help both the chickens and the people. So you've already done all the homework. And that's the benefit of buying one of your coops versus building your own coop, because you years of experience of this is the best way to do X, Y, and Z. And this is what we found works best.
That reminds me. Please reach out to the one lady who built her own coop, and you said she's going to be perfect to come on and talk about her experience of building her own coop and how she wishes, now looking back, she would have bought one of ours because she realized I'm sure, a lot of time, which is not a bad thing. I mean, some people like the project, but more important, if you're looking to save money, you're not. You're not.
Yeah,
Period. I can guarantee it.
I can tell you now that she built it as a pandemic project for her family because they were all had this time in the beginning of the pandemic. But she did say that she would have. I don't know what that is. But she said that she definitely spent more money sourcing her own materials than if she had bought the coop from you guys. And she's great. She'll come on.
Okay, awesome. Now listen, my back's starting to hurt too.
Maybe we need like one of those mats.
And I'm on sneaker. I'm telling you, I'm here going, oh my gosh, this is kind of painful. So I know it's all right. So it's 1:09. I think we can end it with YouTube Chicken Police right now.
Yep.
But before you go, I have not had a chance to read the comments. I really don't want to miss out on that. Especially here, Christine, any tips on teaching children how to hold and handle chickens?
Elise!
I'm like, oh, I mean, that's, again, I don't want it all to be about chicken coop building. Having Kristen here, as far as the chicken expert side of things. And there is an art to holding chickens properly, but the question is...
And catching them.
And any tips on teaching the children. So, it's not just, hey... hold it like this. Tell them how to do it, but how to teach them to do it. What would you say to that? Like,
I like to teach them to hold the wings down, and I press one wing against my body, and then hold the chicken like this, and then the legs are dangling.
Always let the feet dangle. Yeah.
And that actually allows you to have another hand in case you need it.
Why do you let the legs dangle? What's the reason for that?
Because they're usually dirty and they're sharp and they're... Right?
I didn't know if there was another reason. Like,
I think it makes the chicken more comfortable too.
Well, they're going to push off on you is what's going to happen.
Right. I mean, those claws are like dinosaurs, They
are dinosaur legs. Yeah. All right. So real quick, I don't know. I feel so bad. I do not want to get in this habit. We have all these wonderful viewers out there putting in some questions, comments, and I don't want to dismiss them like I think I did that one time. You want to hammer through it? And let's see if I remember how to do it. Let's go up here, and is that working? Whose phone's ringing? Is that us?
That's mine, and it came up on my new iPhone saying scam likely. So
Ingrid crossed over to the other side and got a new iPhone. So let's try to get through it quick. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So Alex G says, "Hey Matt, so we have room for more chickens, and I would like to add 2-3 more. Shocker, chicken math. That happens. To our flock. I have 6 currently, but I am concerned about how to integrate more chickens in." Love that question. And actually, real quick, Alex, we definitely have talked a lot about that, so we have some videos in the past. But if you could just answer without explanation, what is the best way to integrate new chickens into your flock?
Well, if you have a broody hen, I think that's the best way. That's the easiest way. But if you don't, you really have to make sure that your chickens are about the same size, and you have a secondary feeding and watering station for them during the integration. Ingrid just went through this, so she probably has some more tips.
So use a broody hen.
But the trick to put them in at night and then they wake up together and everybody's happy, that's pretty much a myth.
Yeah, so I would actually love to do a class on that. But basically, to answer the question, the best way to introduce new hens is with a broody hen, and we have a lot of information out there.
And space is critical. I mean, it seems to be easier the more space that they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm also writing a blog on that too for that guy.
Good.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Why or what do you do with 4-foot hardware cloth when the openings are 3 foot? Why not use 3-foot hardware cloth when you can get the 3-foot cloth?
Are you saying, can you get the 3-foot cloth?
Oh, sorry. I got to get glasses. Can you get 3-foot cloth? To that point, absolutely you can. It's not as common. 4 foot's the most common, and we sell a ton of 4-foot hardware cloth, and that's usually where you're going to get the least amount of waste. I've actually thought about selling our custom hardware cloth that's made for us, just for our chicken coops, because I think people would benefit even more because there would be no waste. And it is technically better.
What size is yours?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't know off the top of my head. It's like 33 and 34, and then there's a 22 and a half that are already at the right width. So,
No more nibble. The nibble tool.
yeah, you definitely, cutting hardware cloth is a nightmare. And you don't use tin snips like one of my guys just said. All right, hello. Let's see here. Hey, Matt, I ordered my 6x18 question. I know Chicken Math says 10 on non-free ranging and 12 free ranging, but I'm ordering 15 from Murray McMurray to make the minimum. What should I do? Okay. Hold on.
The question. I answered him, but I want you guys to answer.
Okay, so I love this. I definitely love the bigger green screens. I definitely feel like a meteorologist. So if let's see. Well, you want to switch sides? Can we switch sides? Will that work? Let's go. Let's get. Okay, so I think people might. All right, a little bit better. All right, so, and of course
you had the better lighting. I see what you do now.
What do you? No, I didn't. All right. So the question is, okay, so you had to order 15 hens to make the minimum, which is very, very common. We hear that all the time. He said he's got the what? My attention, my memory is awful.
He's got the 6x18 coop, but it's only supposed to have 12 chickens in the hen house. So he's got 15.
Nuh-uh, not a 6x18.
A 4x6 hen house, 18-foot run.
Oh, okay, a 4x6 hen house.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you see right here. And we did a video yesterday. We just uploaded. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And even our customer said, because they're suffering from chicken math right now, they easily can fit more than 12 hens in their hen house. And, I'm a fan of a king size bed. We don't want to force you to cram chickens in there. But if you use the industry standard of 8 inches, you can easily go up to 18 chickens, right?
Right. And the customer's point was, we can fit so many more in here because they all cram to one side. He said all of them but one crammed together, almost like they were cuddling. And the most dominant one was off to the side by the window, maybe like it was almost like a protective position.
Yeah.
So that's...
So they're chicken spooning up here.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
they got one on guard.
One lookout, yeah.
That's just like insects. A lot of wasps do that, actually. That's funny. So hopefully that answers the question. I tell you, to the point I think they're making is we should almost make an official statement that I don't want people to be discouraged and say, well, Matt said we can't get 15 chickens, so I shouldn't do it, and make that life a little bit harder for you. You absolutely can. And I know for a fact, every time I've said, I like the 1 foot rule, but I should always have followed up with, but the industry standard, because I do get criticized for that quite a bit, is that you can definitely get away with 8 inches. But leave room in your hen house to grow your flock.
And I would say, I wouldn't go industry standard. I might go like 10 inches. Like I would split the difference. So 12 inches per chicken is the best. 10, because industry standard, industry...
That's what you're going to read all over. And then, of course, then you're going to get into bantams, which is 4 inches when you split it in half.
Oh, they don't count.
Yeah,
they don't even count.
Yeah. But also, if he got 15, there could be a death or a male in there.
Right.
So, I would even say it's pretty likely that he'll end up with less than 15 after the first 6 months or year. Not due to his fault, anything that's his fault.
So someone's asking what size is the cupola, and all these could be answered by selling plans. I promise a day is going to come. I'm going to sell plans. Not to tease anyone, I might give them away for free. I can't. If that day comes, I have a very good reason. But anyways, can the power supply be solar powered as a choice, John? Great question. The world is solar, and I was actually going to tiptoe a little bit with Mr. Choffin and get his opinion on it. So real quick, can it? Yes. But I don't want to mislead people. When you get into the world of solar, you got to understand what is the load, because solar is not nearly as dependable as you think it is. And also, if you have if you cannot get 110 AC out there, 120, whichever you want to call it, and you're going to go to solar, fine. It definitely can be done. I try to tell people, I love solar.
It's just so complicated.
It's very complicated, and I have been told it is carbon footprint neutral.
Right.
If not, maybe even worse. So a lot of people, I think, try to go solar because they're trying to be help cleaner for the environment. I can't believe it, but believe it or not, it's not.
Well, in order to heat water, you have to have so much power, and then you've got like two big deep cycle batteries out there. You've got a solar controller, an inverter, the batteries, and then the panels. It's just such a big complex system just to heat water, and then if something fails in there, then you don't have water. It's just it is possible. It's just very it's really not.
It's a lot bigger of a system. So when they refer to the actual pump, the pump does not require as much power.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, so it's a pump. I meant water. But I don't want to mislead people. A lot of people always ask us, can we solar powered our heated water system? Like Kristen's saying, it's very complicated. My answer is yes, you can. But once you get into anything that's heating, when you're using electricity to heat, you are basically creating a dead short. And that requires so much amperage, you will drain those batteries. So if you got to depend on it and not make sure it doesn't fail, you need such a large storage.
Yeah, we've tried it. We tried it with a few, right? I know the one in Georgia.
Okay, so real quick, I think we're getting close to the end. I'm going to put a timer on my system, so it'll run a few hours a day. Are you not set up for super chats?
Super chats is, that's where people actually we charge to answer things, and we're not big on I don't know.
I know. And again, I got to apologize to everyone. I did something I said we never would do, and that is monetize our YouTube channel. We make our money off the chicken coops. I don't care to make money off of the YouTube. I don't care to, even the t-shirts, I can't wait to really get selling these and donate it to, I would love maybe once a month, some, especially I love animal shelters that might be on hard times. They have an interesting story, and we get to pick them every month, do a story on that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But I'm glad you knew that, because I did not have a clue what you meant by that. You're doing a lot to help us, so what can the DIYers like me do to support Carolina Coops? I appreciate
That's what you wanted to do with the super chats. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Here's the reason why I do this. I am a huge fan of educating the consumer, and I want the consumer to buy from us. Okay. However, I am well aware of how many people copy our coops, and I have always said, if you're not going to buy a coop from us, learn from us to build your own. All right, and we do actually spend a lot of time where people even call us. They're like, how big's this board? How long's that board? That's not what I mean. I don't mean to call us and ask us how we actually build our specific chicken coops, but learn from us and build your own. I also believe, and to answer your question, what can we do to give back to Carolina Coops? If everyone asks themselves right now, where did I first learn about having backyard chickens? Most likely, you're going to remember a moment going to a friend's house. And you're like, are those chickens I hear? What's going on back there? Oh, that's a cool looking chicken coop. And they're going to be intrigued by it. And it's a coop that you built. And that friend that came over may not want to build a chicken coop. But the idea is for you to say to them, call Carolina Coops. That's why we do it. So to answer your question, that is the best way to give back to us. And just, I want to get the word out there. One of my goals is just to have everyone get to know who we are and hopefully take the opportunity to explore and get into such a wonderful, easy hobby. And I see a lot of our friends there saying hi to Mr. Choffin. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I can tell you, I was a little worried because if you don't know Mr. Choffin, it's kind of hard to understand his sense of humor. And, he's not the spring chicken he used to be, but boys, he's still got it. Mm-hmm. The man is just brilliant, but he doesn't try to act like it. I swear to God, we would go in there and he's going to pick a subject and we would just ask one off-the-wall question. He would spend the entire time talking about it, but we were always learning. All right, let's see. In my case, there will not be any power, so gravity feed would have to be used. I would say go ahead. Yeah, if you can use gravity, use it to your advantage. If there's no power and you're worried about it freezing, you just got to figure out a way to keep it warm. And solar is just not an ideal option. I can't.
Or you bring it in at night and bring it out in the morning. I've done that before.
Yeah, I tell you, okay. All right, real quick. So here's a thought, and this blows my mind. And you can watch people on YouTube doing this. When you take compost to an aerobic state, you can run coil through that compost that'll heat, and then run water through that, and it'll heat it up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Imagine if you have a system where it might be cold outside, but you've spent enough time composting where it's generating a bunch of heat. It won't take a lot of solar power to circulate the water with a circulating pump, but you're letting the microbes heat that water up. So it's just, again, just spitting that out there as an idea real quick.
It's tough to get that compost to that heat though, because we've tried. It's not as easy as people think. It's not just throwing your table scraps and grass clippings.
Our man Joel Solitz, if you guys don't ever watch Polyface Farms, he's not paying me to say this. I'm just a huge fan of his because Joel Solitz, if you've never heard of him, go check out Polyface Farms. You'll learn so much from him. That Joel Solitz reminds me of Mr. Choffin. He's going to explain it to you, and it's not overcomplicated, and it's just how it is, and you just take from it what you want and put it to good use. So, Ingrid, thank you so much. I think it's time to wrap it up. It is 1:24. Yep. I know Kristen's like, okay, Matt, please be done. I told you no more.
No, I enjoy it.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Check us out next week. And again, if you haven't already, please bounce over to Instagram. Click on that follow button. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not already. And I don't know, Ingrid, any other shout outs? I don't know where else we are on social media.
Just follow us, like us, tell your friends.
There you go. I love it. Everyone, have a great weekend. Take care.
Okay, bye.